After being picked by a radioactive bird, mild-mannered Tuthill was compelled to become Kineas, the Skydude. All right, episode number 238, Facing the Fail. So, if I had a narrator, he would start this episode by saying, Skydude is terribly shook up by two bad landings that took place, each resulting in the loss of sim life. Got to be clear about that with making videos and live streaming these days. You can't just say a bunch of people got bleeped and bleeped and bleeped. You got to make sure that they understand. Talking about sim people here. Nobody died in the real world. So Kenny is shook up over a wicked crash in one of those things right there, the Vision jet. And, surprisingly, a horrible crash in the Cessna Caravan. I mean, that's like his second home. Like my second home. And it was bad. And then to make matters worse, I was angry and spun around quick, hit a bush, and did it again. The loss of more sim life. And I took a humongous hit to reputation. And it's all well deserved. That's the way it goes sometimes. But I've got to be better than that. I can't let that happen. At least if we can walk away from them, okay. But crashing where you know that nobody's going to survive. The bush thing I'm not so certain about. You know, running into a bush and it causes a crash. Okay, yeah, I think we're kind of okay on that one. But I'm fessing up to when I botch it bad and I botch it, that's on me. Okay. So gritting my teeth and growling and facing my failure fear. And this might happen to you, especially if you're new to all this. You'll make a horrible mistake, which will result in the loss of your and other sim life, yours and others. And you'll be all shook up and reluctant to maybe get in that aircraft again and do it again. Do it again. And again, and again, and again. Don't let it beat you. I'm not going to let this thing beat me. I've just got to try to be way more slow on the approach. He hovered and hovered and hovered and didn't want to come down. And then when I did get the thing down onto the ground, she just wanted to keep going, even with the brakes on, right off the runway, and just kept going. So it made a pretty hard turn because we were looking at a large group of trees and it's one or the other. Smacking into the trees or spin out. I spun and that caused the wing to, I'm assuming, to tip into the ground and kaput. Done. And fast enough that I think it would have been horrible. And to make matters worse, I'm going to use random failures. Now I had them on when I flew this last time, but all of my dice rolls turned out to be really good. And nothing failed. And then I completely botched the landing. So let me show you how this works if you've never seen this before, okay? You Okay. Make sure that's up. There's the random failures app. I'll look for another one too that might be a little bit more. You can control timing and things. But for right now, this is going to work just fine. I also have a D&D dice generator. Now, I don't have a D&D dice app. I can go find one, but this is a free website and it works just fine for what we're trying to do here. Let me obscure the failure generator. Okay, so it goes a little something like this. Let me roll a D8-sided dice, and if I get an 8, nothing happens. Okay, I've got a 1. So come back over to our random failures. Make sure let's stop it. Go to presets. Number 1 out of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's why I rolled an 8-sided dice, and on an 8, nothing happens. Okay, flight controls. Okay, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 exactly. 8 things. So we'll use a 10-sided dice. A 9 and 10, nothing happened. Okay. A 2. A 1 and a 2. Aileron trimmer stuck. All right, now we need a percentage of the possible percentage that it will fail. So come over here, get a D100, roll it, 25. That's good. That's good, that's good. Okay. 25. Do that one. And save it. And now we go back to overview and start it. All right, failures have started. Fail list, show failures. Sorry. And if anything happens, it'll pop up in here. Okay. Now back to the situation. Okay. So yeah. Got to take it slower. Got to really think about the approach better. If there's a speed break, I haven't found it, which that would have really come in handy, I think. But if it doesn't matter. It's up to me to not do that kind of thing. I would definitely like to find somebody who's done a YouTube video on this aircraft, because there are some things I just couldn't, in the avionics, could not figure out.
It's just been repaired and the owner needs it flown back to a field near his place. Mr. Block, the owner, is expecting you at the destination on time. Have a safe flight.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna try. Make sure everything's out of the way.
To Mike 1 Traffic Kin Hotel, Whiskey Victor 271 Tree is taxiing to runway 21.
We got the whiskey. I'm being super timid because I think it's just a dang shame that coming right out of the shop, you would even consider letting this thing roll over crappy terrain. It's just got a detail. So now we're going to get plant juice all over the wheels, possibly some bug juice. The dust alone is going to be sticking to all that wax and possibly clear coat. Uneven ground making me kick in the engines, kicking up more dust. I'm one meter away and it won't let me register it. There we go. It's still not registering, stopping it short. Hold short. Okay.
2 Mike, 1 traffic Kin Hotel, Whiskey Victor, 271 Tree, taking off.
Hotel
2-1 departure to the
Whiskey Victor. Probe heat off, take off emergency battery. Oxygen off. All right, Darth Vader. I was in the forums earlier, and some folks, not everybody, you know how the forums is. Some things happen for some people, some others. And I'm experiencing what people are reporting this morning, at least 2 or 3 people. The hard pull to the right now after SU1. So, just as I was trying to get onto the runway, she pulled really hard. So, you're not going to be able to see this on screen, but I'm going to go to Windows, into Windows game controllers, and do a fast calibration. Leave the handle centered, press button, move the handle in circles, press button, leave the handle centered, press the button. Move the slider all the way up and down. Press a button. Move the Z rotation all the way up and down. She's got a lot of wiggle right there. Stop. Huh. The Z rotation's kind of time for a new joystick. This one's so old. All right. Oh, really? Well, why didn't they just... I don't understand this, some of the things it does to taxi. We should have just turned around and went down that way. They make us do these ridiculously long taxis. And a lot of these go all the way down, turn around. We could have been on that taxi pad. Ma, you ever get that rough feeling down below? Yes, honey. That's why I use taxi pads. Taxi pads. We ain't bush flying. This makes you appreciate the ones when you get them and they're like, go to the hold short and it's 6 feet away. Cool. Go to the runway, 10 feet away. Oh, I love you. Because I can't help but imagine somebody programming some of these. And it seems to really pick the furthest point from where you're starting out at. And, you know, it's easy to imagine somebody in their office being a little bit evil. And taking great joy in setting these up so that, yeah, taxi as far away as possible. Then make them go all the way down the runway at taxi speeds to see if they'll obey the taxi speed. Then make them turn around and take off. I'll show that Skydude. I'll suffer the slings and arrows of your long taxis. Just remember, though, karma. See, she's pulling hard to the right. Did you catch that? I let go of the joystick for a moment. I'm letting go now. I'm letting go of the joystick now. See if it does it again. Okay, I put my hand back on the joystick. Ah! My hand's off. See it? Could be just my joystick. I was getting a lot of weirdness on the yaw. Hands off. If I touch it and start it moving to the right, it wants to keep going. One other thing that caused me to crack up is my gear and my flaps are tied together in some weird way. So let me go to gear flaps down. Yeah. Somehow or another, those two ended up being toggled together. Okay. GG. Focus decrease. Don't need that. All right. So now we shouldn't have that problem. And speaking of flaps, where is it? I'm not sure. The last time they had us up to 20,000 feet. So let's just anticipate at least 10 for now. Well, what direction are we heading? We're heading south. So is it +5? All right, we'll set it for flight level change and nav. Sometimes when you turn on nav, I mean the nav's in there, but it's not like locked onto it. So go to the flight plan. We're heading to, really? No waypoints. Milky. All right. Heading bug. Put it on that. All right. $1,600. I'm really surprised they didn't give us a altitude increase. So 2,000, that was way off. So do 6. All right. That worked. We should be getting back on course here. Very pretty. 26. Alt hold. All right. Time to kick back for a moment. We're all right. Don't want to push this person's aircraft. Not in a hurry today. Slow is on my mind. Checking the chat room to see if anybody's there. Nobody's there. But hello just the same. Things are going so good, we should roll another possible random failure. Bushtalk. Let's turn on Bushtalk and make sure that that is active again. All right, connected. Make sure it's available. And nothing even around an airport. But nothing along our path at all. But we are here. Pleasant Hill, Holden, Warrenburg, Harrisonville. Just outside of Kansas City. All right, we need to start out with a D8. Nothing happens on an 8. 7. Stop failures, presets. 7 is brakes. No, 7 is other. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things can go wrong. So we'll use a 6-sided dice. Nothing happens on a 6. A 3. You didn't see it on camera. Let me move that. There's the 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. And we need 4. Nothing happens on a 4. A 4. Nothing happens. Right? 2. That's what I was doing. No, we needed 100. So a pitot 2 blockage, and we needed our 100. 3. Okay, so 3% chance that it happens. So I think we're in good shape. Save it. Start. You never know, though. Right. I don't know why the boxes don't exactly align with the GPS, and I think that's a real drag. I would make everybody who created these make sure whatever you got to do, go back in there and make sure all these GPS routes exactly line up with what they want you to do with the boxes. So if I turn on navigation, follow the GPS, I'm going to be over to our port side out here somewhere. It's not going to go through the boxes. And that can give you a bad score, and it can also cause things to, well, maybe not so much that, but sometimes when you're not at proper elevations, whatever the timing, the things that trigger things in a mission. So if you're too far over, and let's say you needed to hit a spot to the right, yeah, you wouldn't trigger it. And using heading, it's tough, as you see, to just keep it straight down the pipe. Well, that's got to be wind now. That's pushing us port. I really enjoyed the weather for the most part living in Kansas City. It has brutal winters by the major rivers. I don't know, that's where I was at. And but there was something even kind of amazing in that. I had never experienced an ice storm before, where my entire car got covered in a perfect layer of ice. Never seen anything like that. Driving to, once you get your windshield clean and you drive down, and now the heat from the inside of your car melts the layer of water underneath the sheet that's on the top of your roof. So you press on the brakes, and all of a sudden this giant sheet of glass comes flying off. Having to use a cigarette lighter to defrost a lock. So I never understood with car manufacturing technologies, you know, systems that, you know, normally only have one battery in the car. But the idea that you should have like at least three or four, and that they're responsible for other things entirely. Like keeping the car warm, or when it's too hot, keeping the car cool. Keeping an engine warm. And we probably will in the future. I mean, you never know. But a lot more, passive systems. And especially what got me thinking about passive systems a long time ago was these horrible stories about animals or children being stuck in vehicles under extreme heat conditions and them dying. Even, the thought that can even happen to me blows my mind. When I think where we're at technologically, and then you hear things like that. Now I can imagine that more like the 70s, the way they used to build things. But after 1980, I can't believe there's even an excuse that, of all the chowder-headed things not to build into cars, whatever it is, sufficient insulation, like coolers. Like Coleman coolers, your camping cooler, right? That there's not micro layers of like Coleman cooler stuff to just try to keep the heat out, and a passive cooling system. Hell, even something you could just turn on, at least turn on to be a passive system. That kind of isn't really passive, but still, like you're going to get out of the car and it's a hot day and you got to lock it up, and might have a critter or some younger kids that can remain unsupervised in the car, I guess. Whatever. A switch you can flip. Turns on your monitor, your little heat monitor. Will do its best to keep the cabin at a temperature. We've got auto starts now, so you can set your console to whatever you want. So when you do an auto start, so you can have it already set to defrost and this and that and this. It'd be interesting. I wonder if, and they probably have it. I haven't been around cars for a while. But more controls from your phone to your car. I know some people, the conspiracy or patriot-minded people, when I talk about things like this, their minds usually always go to how it can be used in a horrible, negative way against you. And I can understand that, and I can appreciate that very much. Because my mind has always wandered onto more Star Trek things. I never start out thinking about the bad things that can happen by implementing certain technologies. But AI coming too in your car, again, red flags, but at the same time, an AI is smart enough to, send you a message to your phone. So I'm awful cold. I am freezing. I'm freezing the tailpipe off out here, and the engine's complaining too. May I please turn on some heat? Yeah, go for it. They can self-drive. They should be able to monitor the environment and keep the environment. I don't know anything about the Teslas and the the self-driving stuff, but I'm wondering about the emergency features. Like in an emergency, can you have it with the push of a button? Can you have it take you to the nearest hospital? Can you talk to the car? Can you just say, "Take me to the nearest hospital. I'm having a heart attack here"? My wife just decided to suddenly stab me and I'm bleeding out. Take me to the nearest hospital. In aircraft, they're working on the, and I think that it's out now, the Garmin emergency autopilot system. And it's only supposed to be used in emergencies at the moment. And I can't wait for it becomes common use and you don't have to worry about using it. You can use it anytime you want. Not just in an emergency, but right at the moment, it's for emergencies. You get a big red button somewhere that tells you to, in case of dire emergency, press the red button. And it will it will create a flight plan to the nearest, I think it's the nearest airport, and start summoning emergency services and make contacts with ATC and work out all the details and take over the aircraft and get you to the ground. That's pretty snazzy. But again, I can't wait till it's, I guess, competent enough. I don't know why they would, only in emergency situations. Because I would give that to every student pilot, every pilot in general. You have to have something that you can push that button in case of anything going wrong and have the plane try to figure itself out, figure your situation out. Especially for I can imagine the real world people flying, sometimes just losing your nerve or freezing or anything. That moment of, any of these moments of hesitation that could cause horrible, horrible problems. Look, if you're going to crap your pants, press the button. Don't be ashamed. That's what it's there for. And you've probably heard me talk a lot about VTOL technology now. The eVTOLs featured in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And although they're kind of buggy, and if you take the time to mess around with them, to me, that's the way to go. Because the reason why I'm doing this right now, and the title of this particular episode is Facing Failure. Facing the Failure. So I crashed really bad the last time I was flying one of these. And that gives you a little fright to want to jump back in and get back in the saddle and do it again right anytime soon. But you have to. But in a world where you don't have to, that'd be great. I would rather use vertical takeoff and landing technology from here on out. Every time you do a landing, you're rolling the death dice. And the VTOL stuff, at least it cuts the odds in at least half or greater than half. And that's good odds. Plus, if it can be as simple as they've demonstrated in the Joby and the Archer Midnight, it's going to be so wonderful to fly. Going the other way. Oh, I was rotating the knob the other way. I can't wait for them to make an airliner do it. I want to see an airliner with vertical takeoff and landing. The engines have the power. Vertical takeoff and landing airliners is going to be amazing. AI assisted technology is already amazing when you think about what it can do as we go forward. AI assisted everything for your flying. I heard they already have autopilot you can talk to. Or, you know, at least voice commands, not talk to. But I'll bet somebody's working on that right now. And that would be wonderful, an AI, a true AI co-pilot. I would call it Jarvis. From the Avengers, the Marvel Avengers autopilot. They put Jarvis into the Quinjet.
Mike Oscar Tree Traffic Kin Hotel, Whiskey Victor 271 Tree, 5 miles northwest 2600, Fort inbound to land runway 19er.
All right, let's turn off the autopilot.
Sink rate, sink rate, sink rate, sink rate, sink rate.
I don't see the pattern, but I'm gonna go this way.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. $500. $500.
What are you doing? It's like the auto throttle kicked in. I'm trying to come down and it throttled up.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate.
Who decided to put those trees there? You ought to be shot. See, now she's floating again. She was floating on me yesterday. Yeah, wasn't better, but I didn't crash. That's all that matters. Gotta be very careful. She likes to hover. And so I've got to remember to try to pull out any nose up trim that I had input. And I applied, I had excessive, I think, trim set. And so I was trying to bring her down. I was fighting with it. Come on. It's
Mike
not.
Oscar Tree, traffic Kin Hotel, Whiskey Victor 271 Tree is taxiing.
Didn't toggle.
19er.
Here it goes.
Oscar Tree, traffic in Hotel Whiskey Victor 271 Tree is taxiing to parking.
That's awful tight.
Welcome to Lynn. I'm Mr. Block. I hope the maintenance went smoothly and that you took good care of my plane. I was counting down the days to get it back.
I'd ask him to put a speed brake in it, mister. All right, so facing the fear and landing smoothness. Yeah, we're alive. And facing the fear by adding more danger into it, using our D&D dice and our random failures to try to make things a little bit more spicy. So, you ever have those moments of fear? Grit your teeth, growl, and jump right back in and do it again. Well, kind of back to where we were last week. I'll take it. All right. So I think the next one, let's see, what time is it? 2. Yeah. I'll be back at the top of the next hour to do Facing the Fail Part 2. So I need to find a Cessna Caravan for a short flight, because I botched a Cessna Caravan. So after that, good. Everything else has been pretty much okay. And then it'll be getting back to the helicopters possibly tonight. Got to try to get that hoist endorsement. I really need to practice my hovering more, so got to spend some time doing helicopters. All right. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. Please like and subscribe. If I'm not following you, please make... well, if you follow me, I'll definitely follow you back. But anytime you're watching, if you ever say hello in the chat room and I'm not following you, I'll go to your channel and subscribe. All right. See you on the next show.